There we go. What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another episode of Caught Stealing, the Fantasy Alarm Fantasy Baseball Podcast. If you're listening to us only, well, appreciate you guys dropping in and giving us a listen. And if you're watching us on YouTube, well, we thank you so much. We're both looking particularly handsome today, and you're going to want to hit that like button, that subscribe button, and make sure that you are staying up to date with everything that's going on. It is April the 15th. On our recording day, and I'll tell you what, it's tax day here, and they say that there's only two certainties in life, Colby, the death and taxes, but panic and fantasy baseball, definitely a very, very close third. How are you?
Oh, doing well. Fantasy teams are underperforming a little bit, hit by the injury bug, but I'm not panicking yet. It's way too early in the season to be freaking out. It's some of these guys are only a handful of at-bats and games into the season, so we'll definitely alleviate or quell some concerns that folks may have here with some of the guys that we'll talk about later on, as well as some trends we're seeing across Major League Baseball.
Did you buy some word of the day toilet paper? Is that what's going on here? I'm very impressed. I was hoping that you were going to say assuage, but
Nope.
You didn't go with that one. Quell was a nice choice.
Yeah, I forgot. I know you just said it before we started recording, but I already forgot how to say it before it came up to me. So I was going to sound like the smart one. So I'm just quickly over here during the recording, synonyms of insert the word that you just said. And I was like, well, I know quell, alleviate. These are boring words, but I'm not going to run the risk of mispronouncing that word that you said.
See that? We're always striving for greatness. Colby, Conway, Howard Bednar, Fantasy Alarm. That's what this Caught Stealing podcast is all about, is exceeding expectations. And listen, that's what we're going to end up doing here. Before we start jumping into assuaging everybody's fears, as Colby was so eloquently putting it, let's check in with our leagues here, because I got to tell you, Colby, a lot of ups and downs. I mean, I've got some leagues where I've just been decimated by the injury bug. And then I got some that I just can't really tell yet if my teams are overperforming or if I just did a really good job drafting. What's your team situation like on your in your primary leagues?
Yeah, a lot of injuries. I know TGFBI, I think my whole bench is full of IL players except for maybe one or two. I have a home league that I filled up all 5 IL spots within 3 days of the regular season starting. Now, that's not all bad luck. I did willingly go in drafting Brandon Woodruff. I picked up Yuri Perez. So, like, it's some of it is self-inflicted.
Okay.
But then there's other ones, like, as you are probably also bitten by, the Shane McClanahan injury, Matt McLean, who should be activated on the 15th, on the day that we're recording this. I believe that's the plan for him, and Josh Lowe. So teams are definitely beat up. I'm in the bottom of a lot of categories, but I just look at these teams and I just have a hard time looking at some of them and saying, like, this team is not a basement dweller in this league. I don't know if it's got the juice to win it this early, but there is no way that this team is going to stay down for this long. So I'm not panicking. I'm definitely, the worry meter's going up a little bit, every little bit, but I'm staying true to this team that I drafted. I'm not bailing 2.5 weeks after I selected these guys.
TGFBI, I implore Justin Mason every single year to give us IL spots. Because, I mean, listen, I understand that if you're playing in a high-stakes fantasy league and you don't want everybody hoarding 20 injured guys on their bench, then fine, then you don't do it. But if you're talking about TGFBI or the Earth Leagues, I'm part of the BARF League, Bay Area Roto Fantasy. These are charity leagues. These are fun leagues. These are not leagues where, yes, you are paying a little bit of money, but you're doing it as a donation to charity. So in all honesty, like, why shouldn't I be able to do things like make trades or deal with the IL? Like, that's one of the issues that I have over there. It is driving me nuts because, yeah, my TGFBI bench is littered with guys who are on the injured list. As my Earth League, definitely a little bit better. Both teams are competitive. Where it's really crazy for me is in the FSGA. Because if you look at my FSGA team, I've got 8 guys sitting on the IL right now. And they give you unlimited IL spots. So that's kind of nice. So I've got my hitters who aren't performing, and I'm, Shane McClanahan and Garrett Cole. I believe I drafted both of those guys on that team. So trying to replace those guys has just been a little bit of an uphill climb. But Ooh, Labor NL. Kind of stepped into some shit there, feeling pretty good. Santiago Espinal has because he's filling in for Matt McLean, has turned into this fantastic little option for me. And somehow, some way, I'm fighting with Derek Carty for the top spot right now, but it's April 15th. And let's face facts. Nobody's winning a championship in April.
Well, go back, depending on like your league settings, if you're able to do this, go back and look at teams from yesteryear and a couple of, what are you 1-2? How did that team end up going off? Did it rattle off 7 in a row? You see it in fantasy football all the time. The team that starts 0-4 and wins 8 in a row to get that 6th seed in the playoffs. Like it happens all the time. I guess it obviously can happen. It's statistically probable, but I would bet to venture if you go into looking past leagues, whoever was leading after 3 weeks of the season, not every single one of them wins your league championship. There's still so much time. And even look at past years. Like I remember last year in TGFBI, I blew every last fab dollar I had when Ellie De La Cruz got the call. We don't know who's coming up, who's going to break out. There's going to be certain players that come off, and it's that in-season management is going to be key. And also exhibiting patience and holding tight on players who maybe are struggling through the first couple weeks of the season.
Patience is the key. That is the absolute key. And you're in the Fantasy Alarm Discord. I'm in the Fantasy Alarm Discord, and we just, and I gave a little speech. I think it was over the weekend. I don't remember if it was Saturday or Sunday. I was very heavily doped up on cold meds. I was definitely struggling through everything, but where is it? Because I think it was a good response, because I don't normally, sometimes I get a little frustrated a little early when I get like the same questions over and over from the same people year after year. It's like, how are you not learning from year after year? Like there are some people out there, and I've had people like email me privately, and they're like, yo, just so you know, I'm super sorry about like blowing up your messages and stuff like that. I have OCD. I don't mean to, I'm fine trying to find other ways to channel it, but like fantasy baseball has been like where I've channeled it the most from my regular life. And I'm like, okay, I totally get that. My wife's a little OCD. Well, she's a lot OCD, but so like that aspect I get. But when you just start seeing the same things over and over again, you kind of get a little frustrated. And this was what I had said. I said, I don't give up on players this early. The question was, oh yeah, here you go. Wanted to drop somebody for Wilmer Flores. Trying to think of who was that. Who was it? Oh, drop Kyle Manzardo for Wilmer Flores. And okay, I get why you want to do that. Wilmer Flores has 6 home runs already. Okay, Kyle Manzardo's still trying to, figure himself out. But the bottom line is that if you're drafting a guy like Kyle Manzardo, you've got to give him a little bit longer of a leash than normal players. But why are you going to go chase the 6 home runs that Wilmer Flores has already hit? We know who Wilmer Flores is. This dude's 33 years old, Colby. And everybody's treating it like he's like the next coming of Mike Trout. So what I wrote was, I don't give up on players this early. Everyone's still making adjustments. Too many fantasy players think they need to add and drop here in April without giving players a real opportunity to adjust after spring training. We go through that every single year. Not sure how to teach patience in a time where everyone is all about instant gratification. Show me one person who won their fantasy championship on April the 14th. One of my nicer messages, I would say.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, I mean, but like everything in there is valid. And I mean, here's the thing too, when you're looking at players like Kyle Manzardo can easily do what Wilmer Flores does. Like if you look at Wilmer Flores' like best year back in 2023, 23 home runs with a 284 average. I don't think Manzardo is hitting 284, but the last couple of years, Flores hasn't been great for batting average. Manzardo can do that, and you might as well chase the guy who still has room to grow. Like there's no growth for Flores at this point. Like he is what he is. Also, one of the worst hitters parks in baseball. So do what you want with that when it comes to some of his production. When you look, let me see here. Yeah, weird. Only one of his home runs at home. Cool. So he's doing it all on the road. He's on a power binge right now. So no thanks for something like that. But that's what it comes down to. Like, if you're chasing the flavor of the day, you're going to miss when that guy, say your draft was March 15th. You drafted Manzaro for what? The upside and the growth as a player. If you bail on April 14th for a 34-year-old, 33-year-old Wilmer Flores, because he's the flavor of the day and he has 6 home runs, he might not sustain this. You're going to get Manzardo numbers anyway from what he's doing now. And God forbid Manzardo turns it around. And then you get to look back in 2 months. Damn, I was right about Kyle Manzardo. And he looks so good on my league mates roster. But I drafted him. So you basically like literally bit the bullet to get rid of it, to then basically be right about your call before the season. But all the numbers are helping another team.
I mean, do yourself a favor. I know you come to us to get advice and figure some things out, but there are definitely things that you can do as a fantasy player on your own. Simply put, go to Fangraphs, right? Just go to Fangraphs, look at the player pages, because what they do on their player pages over there, and listen, I don't want to pull people away from Fantasy Alarm, but I always do my research. I used to write for Fangraphs 20 years ago, so I will always have a home there. But they have all the projection systems listed under everything, the player's full body of work. And what they do, though, is they give like Steamer, Zips, ATC, the Bat, Oopsie. They give you like 6 different projection systems to take a look at. And pick and choose what you like. The Bat is usually a little bit more bullish on hitting than pitching, or Zips or Steamer's a little bit more bullish on pitching than hitting. ATC seems to be like right in the middle. I love Ariel Cohen. He's absolutely one of my favorites. But like, just look at where it is. What are you expecting out of Wilmer Flores the rest of the season? Right now it's 11 to 14 more home runs with a 236 batting average. Like, that's what you're going to drop him. You're going to drop Manzardo, who's got a much higher ceiling than Wilmer Flores. And you're going to do what? You're going to get what out of Wilmer Flores? You're not getting anything out of Wilmer Flores. And by the time you pick him up for his 6 home runs, the dude's about to go 0 for 4 in 7 of the next 10 games.
Yep.
Make it make sense.
Yep. And that's what it comes down to. Like, I think there's definitely instances of like, and it comes back to what we talked about before. Like, you got to look at the numbers and see, like, if someone is breaking out early, is it legitimate? Is there staying power here? But when it comes to like looking who to drop, like guys that I've invested in who I believe could break out or maybe are on the precipice of that, they're going to get a little bit of a longer leash. If I drafted some, Victor Robles is a bad example because of an injury. But if you drafted someone who's a little bit older, you kind of know what they are to an extent. And like, obviously with the Robles example, you don't need speed or anything. Like an older guy who we already know who he is, I'm more willing to drop than someone who I think there's still growth. I saw a really good post on X, and I got to find it so I can attribute it correctly. But they basically said your opinions change quickly at the prospect level, but at the major league level, your opinions change slowly. And I think something similar to that can be applied to fantasy as we get into the season. Some of the more veteran players, we have to kind of maybe react a little bit quicker on, where the prospects, you got to give them a little bit more time to develop. Like, everybody was probably rushing to get Zach Veen from Colorado. Hasn't been a great start, but if he's going to keep playing at one of the best hitters parks, you better believe I'm going to keep him on teams where I have him. So just kind of keep that in mind. But especially if you have someone tabbed as a breakout player, you better not be considering dropping them on April 15th.
Now, one of the things that you can do, and this is where we can kind of begin things, because Colby and I are going to give you some buy lows and some sell highs and some players to target who are underperforming right now, players to sell off who are overperforming. I'll tell you what, man, if you are a Wilmer Flores owner and if you're not shopping that dude around right now, you're doing it wrong. You are definitely doing it wrong. Find somebody who's got a player who is massively underperforming and just offer Wilmer Flores for that player. I tell you what, right? And even throw in a little sweetener, right? Be like, you know what? I'll just give you this extra pitcher as well. But what you can do before we give you all of these is lock into some of the trends that we're seeing around baseball right now. MLB is all about trends. Colby used to do a column on Fantasy Alarm called Streaks and Trends, which we've kind of combined into some other, into some other work. And I do a fantasy baseball stock watch every week. So, but leaning into the trends of what we're identifying right now in baseball, that's where you're going to kind of make your money. Like, for example, offense in general is down right now. Granted, it's 3.5 weeks into the season. Okay. And if you look at the differentials, like BABIP is lower, batting average is lower, things like that. But overall, like, on pace for how many home runs for the season, like that kind of stuff, it doesn't look very noticeable right now. So if offense in general is down, then you can kind of chill a little bit and stop worrying so much about some of these guys who aren't hitting for power. Stolen base attempts, that's up right now. And that's something I think that you can lean into a little bit more than sweating, chasing home runs and RBI.
Yeah, and when you look to it, I mean, could it be just easily attributed to it is earlier in the season? It's, March, April time, the weather's colder.
Yeah.
Sure. Maybe teams need to see that, like, we need to maybe manufacture runs right now. And when we look, you have it noted in the doc here for us, but the teams with the highest stolen base attempt, the Rays, the Mariners, Rangers, Pirates, and Padres. Outside of the Padres, none of those teams have hit for an insane amount of power, other than when Tampa Bay's at home at Steinbrenner Field. Then everybody hits for power. But outside of that, not too much there. So they see that they have to manufacture runs. And actually, for the most part, when you look at those 5 teams compared to like their stolen base attempts per game last year, most of them are up. So they are seeing kind of what needs to happen. It really makes sense for Seattle. They couldn't hit water if they were stuck in the ocean. So they got to find ways to, get runs as much as they can. But back to the batting average quick, just wanted to notate this. If you go back to 2015 and we look at months, basically 3 of the 4 lowest months for batting average across the league, obviously 2022, 2021, 2025, March, April are the lowest batting average. And then, of course, what are the 12 highest? June, July, and August across various different years. Weather's warm. So if you're looking at some of these guys to buy low, like there's certain players that we know, like I think it's Austin Riley is a generally slow starter. Like Mark Teixeira used to be like the epitome of the slow starter. It was like, hey, if you draft him, you got to sit for 2 months and just take your lumps. And when the weather warms up in the Northeast, he just goes nuts. Austin Riley's kind of that way to an extent. So maybe when you're looking to buy low on some guys, like especially like guys that we'll talk about in a little bit, but if they're in places where it's a colder temperature right now, it will eventually warm up. Those are the guys I'm really keying in on.
Oh, absolutely. Right. And that's the funny thing is that maybe that's the strategy to employ during draft season is just sit there and go look at all the veterans who traditionally get off to hot starts, right? And scoop them up just so that you can trade them away for a guy like Austin Riley, who starts off slow for the month of April, although Austin Riley just popped 2 home runs the other day and woke up, which again, super funny. Somebody said to me, they're like, oh, what am I going to do? Austin Riley's terrible. Am I going to, dump him? Who can I pick up to replace him? I'm like, I just want to grab you by the shirt collar. I just want to shake you a little bit. So what can you do right now? Well, I'll tell you. If we know that batting average is down, plot your course. Find the guys who suck right now. Find those buy low candidates. We'll cover a bunch of them there, and scope them out for trades coming up. It's very difficult to kind of make those deals right now because you still have a strong contingency of people who are like, well, it is kind of early, and every fantasy expert says, it's too early to start blowing up my team. What I'm trying to do right now, Colby, is I'm trying to get as big of a lead in stolen bases as possible. Mm-hmm. If attempts are up right now, then I want to add guys from teams that are stealing a ton of bases right now and just get that lead. Because traditionally what we've seen over the years is the stolen base category becomes extremely movable in like July and August, right? Like middle of the pack is kind of huddled up together where if you get one good burner, like all of a sudden, I mean, you can vault up and, if it's head to head, you can just steal away, the category for the week. If it's a roto league, you can increase your points there. So what I'm doing right now, Colby, is I'm looking for guys available from the Rays, the Mariners, the Rangers, the Pirates, and the Padres. All these teams are stealing bases at an alarming rate right now. I mean, there was a full chart that I had somewhere, which I don't know where it's located right now, but it was giving me like that whole thing. Because again, I was looking, I want to shout out Jason Collette from RotoWire and Fangraphs, because Jason Collette does a lot of this early in the season kind of thing. And when you look at, when everybody's saying that power is down, you look at what the on-pace numbers are, then you realize that just patience is really what's just going to help you out there. But if teams are compensating in other ways, like just giving the green light to all these guys, that's where you make your move right now.
And I mean, again, no surprise that power seems down right now, because if you listen to any of the DFS shows with Grande and Impemba here at Fantasy Alarm, what do you hear them talk about? Oh, there's this game. Oh, it's a good pitcher's environment. It's 39 degrees with 15-mile-an-hour winds blowing in. Like, yeah, power is going to be down because it takes a gargantuan shot just to hit a wall scraper in weather like that. So we get more ideal pitcher conditions, and outside of games that we get down in Florida right now, maybe out west where you have those nice offensive climates. Yes, it's generally speaking, the pitching is going to be ahead early on, and then the power is going to catch up later. So, and you think about it too, as the weather gets a little bit better, becomes better hitting environments. Maybe some of these teams feel like they don't need to manufacture as much. Maybe they cut back a little bit. I don't like these teams. I don't think they will. I think they're going to need it for most of the season. But I mean, yeah, if you're looking for guys to acquire, if you can get guys that run, because I mean, look at where we're at right now. Like I'm looking at it here. Manny Machado has the same amount of stolen bases as he does RBI. He's not a burner.
Is that not just like insanity right there? Like is he tied for the league lead in stolen bases right now?
He's just behind O'Neal Cruz and Pete Crow Armstrong, known runners. Then you have Machado and Trevor Story. Trevor Story can't stay healthy, and Boston's even letting him run. Then you got Tatis, Luis Robert, Nico Horner, Xavier Edwards. Like in that top 10 in the major league in stolen bases, Manny Machado is such an outlier right now. It's incredible. It's like 9 younger, fast dudes, and then just this, like the old savvy vet that's out there teaching these guys how to run. Hey, it's not about the speed. It's about the first jump and lulling them into you're not running. He's like that crafty stolen base guy. But at this point, Padres got to let him keep running.
Yeah. Cubs and Red Sox are two teams also. They lead the league in stolen bases, right? Cubs are number 1. Red Sox are tied with Seattle and Tampa and Pitt and San Diego. It's kind of funny to see them all tied with the same number of stolen bases. Again, it's finding, that's where you're finding your edge. Like that's what you're doing. And yeah, I agree with you that, I'll tell you what, the Cubs, I think, are a great example. Like Pete Crow Armstrong, he's a runner, and we're good with that. Mm-hmm. But when you sit there and you take a look at like some of the players on that squad, who else is contributing? Wow, it's all. Pete Crow Armstrong has 7, Nico Horner at 6, your boy John Birdie at 5,
Tucker at 3,
Dansby Swanson at 2. So, I mean, yeah, that's where you focus it. Those guys are going to continue every step of the way. I'm trying to figure out who's a team that really isn't going to dominate in that realm. Boston, like you said, Trevor Story. Yeah, outside of Jarren Duran and Ceddanne Rafaela, like all of these other guys are, 2-1. So you're right. You're definitely right. You're going to have to assess the fact, like when the wind's blowing out at Wrigley, they're probably less likely to give the green light and take the bat out of the hitter's hands.
Yeah, there will be some guys like PCA and Horner are always going to have the green light. They can basically run whenever they want. Probably Tucker too, to an extent. But yeah, especially when they got those 15-mile-an-hour winds blowing out, they're going to say, "Hey, we don't need to run like it's March and April anymore. We can let the hitters hit at the plate, and we'll be just fine."
What about pitching? Are you looking at any pitching trends? Again, obviously, if offense is down, we would assume that ERA is better now than it was before. But I'm sure you've identified a couple other things.
Yeah, I mean, right now when you look at it in terms of looking at past years for the season as a whole, 3.96 ERA across the league is tied for the best or the lowest ERA in the last 10 years. But the 9.2% walk rate is tied for the highest in the last 10 years. So again, it's not a massive jump by any means, but could this just be a product of, hey, we got to nibble around the edges more, or maybe it's the pitcher friendly environments. They're trying to push the envelope a little bit. Who knows? And then when you look at the starting pitchers, their 3.99 ERA is actually the lowest in the last decade as well. I think that could probably be attributed to, I think I forgot to write this down. I think it's the average start right now is 5.24 innings, I believe is what I had written down, which is on par with last year, but just continues this steady trend down. So yeah, I would probably go with that. The ERA for starters is down just because they're only asked to go 2.5 times through the order, if that. And you have other teams that are, certain teams like the Dodgers have been a little bit reluctant. They've let some of their starters hit that 6-inning mark, but maybe next week we'll look into a little more and see which teams are quick to pull the plug on starters as well. But ultimately, when it comes to starters, like what I'm looking at right now is I'm looking at a lot of those kind of peripherals or under the hood numbers. Like, what is the xERA saying? What about the FIP? What's the xFIP? Again, I love the ground ball strikeout archetype. So if there's somebody who has good marks there, but the ERA is not quite there, those are the type of players that I'm really looking at. Again, that's an archetype thing. Like you have your type, young stud third baseman. Mine's ground ball strikeout starters. So that's what I'm really going to be looking at here moving forward.
Oh, see, who's more fun, your ground ball starters or Junior Caminero?
I mean, I'm biased.
Come on, every time I get a notification, I have Junior Caminero. My buddy Trace, I'll shout it out to Trace, who calls into the Fantasy Alarm Show. He convinced me to join his head-to-head league this year, which I tell you what, I know you're listening, Trace. Daily roster moves, head-to-head on Yahoo, like first come, first serve waivers. Like you couldn't have put me into more of a dentist chair for fantasy baseball leagues than that one. It's like all the things that I absolutely hate about fantasy baseball setups, and he's got me in there. But I've got Junior Caminero in that league, and every time I get that, I even tweeted out that Yahoo notification yesterday. I was like, these are the notifications I'm here for. And I get that stuff, and I'm like, yeah. But listen, man, I definitely need to follow you a little bit more closely on the pitching front. I draft very typically offensive heavy, and then I kind of work through that rotation, kind of, piecemeal it together the rest of the way, especially when you lose certain guys like Cole McClanahan, Reynaldo Lopez.
Mm-hmm. Come on, dude. Spencer Arrighetti. Yep. A lot of pitcher injuries, but just like
broken thumb, that blows. He was my guy for 200 strikeouts for the first time this year. I thought he was
Mine was Hunter Brown, who is one of handful of guys with a 60+% ground ball rate and a even 9 or higher K per 9. Other guys in there, you got Paul Skeens, Hunter Brown, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, and guess who's just below the threshold in terms of strikeout percentage? Our guy from the LA Angels, Jose Soriano. Great start for him. Super excited for him moving forward. He's so good.
Is he not one of the most underrated pitchers in the game right now? He's young. Strikeout rate is high. He's your guy. Yep. He's your archetype guy. I just need him on a different team. I need to see him on a different team. I need, which can obviously segue us into our next segment here. And that's where we talk about players who we need or want to see traded, or we expect to see them traded. Like Jose Soriano's on a 1-year deal with the Angels. This is not a team that's going to the playoffs. It's not a good trading team as it is. Artie Moreno is just a horrible owner. And I don't even know who's their new GM right now. Is it? See, now I gotta go typey in the Google machine here. GM
it's still Perry.
Is it Perry Manasian? It is. It's Perry Manasian. I don't know what the hell his problem is, dude. But he's gonna end up like dealing Soriano for prospects. I mean, they have no farm system over there at all. So I would definitely like to see. I mean, again, he's on a 1-year deal. Are you going to pay this dude, on a multi-year deal, or are you going to trade him to a contender? I think his value is higher as a trade chip here, at least in reality.
Yeah, I mean, good velo. The numbers have been good, very serviceable at the big league level. I mean, good frame, 6'3", 220 is a lot to like. 26, plenty of mileage left on that arm. And again, the ground ball strikeout archetype. Even if he were to go somewhere that is a hitter-friendly park, you can't get beat with home runs when the balls are hit down. And I think he can. I'm not going to say he could necessarily pitch anywhere, but if he were to go somewhere like, I mean, like the Dodgers or somewhere that does have a good hitter environment, he can overcome that and be just fine. And I mean, honestly, the prospects that it would take to get him, knowing it's going with LA, is probably, you could probably get yourself a good little deal there, because they probably need, as much as they need quality, they probably just need quantity of prospects as well. But I still think there's some untapped potential with Mr. Soriano. But as we're seeing here, he's got a 2.70 ERA, and a lot of the numbers under the hood are right in line with it.
Some places I would love to see Jose Soriano go, obviously include Detroit, Seattle, right? I wouldn't mind seeing him go to Texas.
Yeah.
In the National League,
Cubs
for sure.
Obviously, Pittsburgh.
Mets wouldn't be a bad idea either.
Yeah, Pittsburgh too. It makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, come on, Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's not competing. We sat there. This whole last week's episode was all about how shitty of an organization the Pittsburgh Pirates are.
They heard.
Did they hear? Is that what you're saying? They were like, "Oh, Colby, here's your Bucko brick. We're going to give that back to you here."
Listen, they're only 4-6 in their last 10. Not bad for them.
Dude, this is a team that, I mean, you know what it is? I mean, pitching wise, I mean, Skeens, you get Jared Jones back. I mean, I could definitely see, the pitching front being okay over there. It's your hitting that's just atrocious, dude. It's just atrocious. Yeah. And like pining away for the return of Spencer Horwitz. Come on, man.
What about the Padres getting Soriano? Get him in a pitcher-friendly park there? I mean, sure, it puts him in a tough division, but man, he in a pitcher-friendly park would be a cheat code.
Oh yeah. You know what you need to be the GM of the Rockies, because your archetype pitcher is exactly what they need. They need a whole rotation of that. High strikeout, high ground ball rate. That's the only thing that's going to save the Colorado Rockies. Yet they draft like a bunch of morons. It's ridiculous.
True.
It's ridiculous. All right. Oh, Jose Soriano. Damn. Love to see him. You know what? I mean, listen, I think Kansas City would be a great spot for him also.
Getting him in the AL Central.
Oh, Detroit or Kansas City. I think I'm going to lobby for that. On behalf of the fantasy community, I'm going to lobby for a Soriano trade over there. What about players? Who else do you want to see go?
David Bednar. Just want him gone. I mean, they missed the boat on this. I think it was about three years ago on Caught Stealing. I was like, listen, this is the year you're going to draft Bednar. He's going to get you a couple of saves early on. They're going to ship him out. Then come to 2023. David Bednar is definitely getting traded this offseason for prospects. It makes no sense to hold him. They hold him. 2024, David Bednar. This is the year. I know I've been saying it for 2 years. He's going to get traded for prospects. Doesn't happen. This was probably going to be the year that they did trade him. And what does he do? He's like, I'm not leaving Pittsburgh. It's like that gif. I'm not effing leaving. I'm right here, and he's staying here, and he just sucks. So I just kind of want him gone.
Like handcuffs himself to the chair in the office.
Yeah.
All right.
That was the point of this segment, right?
No, it wasn't. But I love that. Dear Lord, please get him off of my team. For the love of all that is holy, get him off my team. No, the assignment, Colby, was to identify players who are currently playing on crap teams who, if they go to a contender, they're going to excel.
Oh,
right?
David Bednar. That's what'll happen.
No, he won't. Dude, he sucks. He sucks ball. He's done. He's cooked.
All right. Seriously, I'll take the easy road. Herman Marquez, just get him out of Coors Field. The numbers show for his career outside of Coors, so good. He's been pretty decent this year outside of I believe it was a one bad start that he had at home. So Marquez is an easy one. I think a contender could scoop him up. It's the Rockies. You can probably get him for pennies on the dollar. So, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe Marquez is a free agent after the season anyway. So if they're not going to pay him, just let him go. Send him somewhere.
I don't even know what his contract status is, but I think we've been clamoring for Marquez to get the hell out of Colorado for quite some time, actually.
Yep, he is a free agent confirmed after this season. And then when you do look for his career at Coors Field for his career, well, this year he's got a 5.4 ERA at home, but for his career, 5.07 at home. On the road, it's a 3.83 ERA and 1.19 WHIP on the road for his career. That'll certainly play.
You know who I actually also wouldn't mind getting traded off of that Colorado rotation? Antonio Senzatella.
Yeah.
I feel like he's a little on the underrated side. He's not a big strikeout guy, but he always, and even at Coors Field doesn't seem to bother him at all. He's never putting up like world beater numbers, but if you put this guy into a different environment, I think he definitely excels.
Yeah.
Definitely
And
excels.
I mean, I like him because he helped me win a bet yesterday. So he's on my good side right now. But even him, he's actually been a little bit better at Coors than on the road through his career. But when you look, I mean, there's definitely some. I think a team that's smart with their pitchers needs to come in and switch up the pitch mix again a little bit, because he, like we see him this year, he just has no ability to miss bats. But he's done it at other points in his career, at least to a minimal level. Someone just has to kind of revamp that pitch mix a little bit, because the velo is not bad hanging out in the mid 90s with his fastball. So something to grow on there. But yeah, I mean, other than Dolander, they can trade every pitcher in Colorado and not feel bad about it.
I agree. Marlins also need to get some value out of Sandy Alcantara while they can, right?
Yes.
Because I love this guy, and he's working his way back from the Tommy John surgery. But I mean, how many different guys can they sit there and like have as these reclamation projects, from Edward Cabrera to Yuri Perez, who's sitting on all your fantasy teams right now. Max Meyer. I mean, they've got a nice young group of guys there. I think if they, because they're not going anywhere. If they want to really beef up that farm system, trading Sandy Alcantara to a contender would be so delicious, I think. And it's not just because I have Sandy Alcantara in several leagues, but it is kind of because I have Sandy Alcantara in several leagues.
No, I mean,
a monster. Imagine him going to San Diego.
Yeah, I mean, anywhere that we talked about that would apply for Soriano, I think, is in play for Sandy. Here's the thing: Miami's one game over 500 right now. I think at some point, relatively soon-ish, they're gonna have to look in the mirror. This is not a team that's going to compete for something. Even if we're 2 months down the line and they're one game over 500, that offense is not going to do anything. They can't sustain anything, and they have to get something for Sandy. You're absolutely right. Looks like he has a 2027 club option, so he should net a pretty good return from them. The velo's been good this year. Elite ground ball rate. A lot of the numbers are actually lower than his ERA, so he could be better off. But yeah, if you get him, I think he's someone that needs to get moved. And the Marlins, again, I hope they aren't delusioned by an 8-7 start and they say, well, once we get Yuri back from Tommy John, we're ready to go with Max Meyer and Alcantara as our top three. They can't hoodwink themselves. That's what I'm saying. They need to trade him and get prospects.
You gotta hope that they don't hoodwink themselves, but I can't even, I cannot for the life of me understand why, and it's any team that's built like that. I mean, look at their offense. It's atrocious.
Yeah. I mean, they're a death by 1,000 cuts offense. That's what they are. There's very little power. It's, hey, Xavier Edwards needs to get a hit, and then he needs to steal second base, and then Otto Lopez can bunt him over, and then we hope a bopper, I'm putting that in air quotes for the people who are listening and not watching. Yeah. A bopper in the middle of the lineup can hit a fly ball deep enough into the outfield to score them. Their offense is not sustainable. And you look to, I mean, they have a -6 run differential. This team is not. They're one game over 500, and they might be lucky to be there.
Yeah. I got to be honest. I don't think that Miami is really delusional enough to do that. I think they're more just looking at their bottom line at this point.
Sure.
Kind of like the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Not an impressive bottom line.
2 hitters I want to see traded: Luis Robert, Nolan Arenado. I do not believe in this start for the St. Louis Cardinals. It is not a good team. I mean, it's a weak division, and that's definitely helping them out, especially because the Brewers have lost their entire pitching staff in both AAA and the majors. So they're out there. Shout out to Chad Patrick, who's still holding strong out there. My friend Wendy Early is Wendy from the Women of Fantasy Football. She's her family knows his family. So I always kind of root him on. But I mean, that team the whole division is atrocious. So, I think that, Arenado at this point, you look at him at playing third base. I think the team's kind of playing over its head right now. He's probably playing over his head right now. He's off to a hot start. But I think that he has a stronger chance of maintaining it if he goes to a contender as opposed to playing in St. Louis, and great baseball town, but teams likely to start fading and fading fast.
Well, and they've already tried to ship him out going back earlier in the season, and Arenado's off to a good start. He's a free agent after 2027, so in theory, he would net a pretty decent return, albeit at 33 years of age. I think he's someone that we've kind of seen, once he left Colorado, numbers were still serviceable, but it wasn't quite maybe to that elite level. So I do think we want to get him to more of a hitter's park. And still not quite what he once was defensively, but serviceable nonetheless. So yeah, I think he's definitely someone I'd love to see move. And Luis Robert, I mean, there has been smoke all around that. I think it's just inevitable that he's going to the Dodgers. It's just a matter of what the package is.
Why? Why does it have to go to the Dodgers? Why?
I know. I hear you. I hear you. But I mean, it would be a great fit. Let's be honest.
Oh, it'd be a phenomenal fit.
It makes sense. This isn't like a disgruntled, he's probably going to the Dodgers because they just get freaking everybody. It's more of always going to the Dodgers because they freaking get everybody, but I get the fit. It does make sense. Put Robert in center field, and that outfield is legit.
Yeah. Yeah. What is it? Is it Tommy Edman right now who's manning center for them?
I mean, they move.
I gotta put my old man glasses on here for a second so I can start reading through the depth charts. But yeah, there you go. So Andy Pages and Tommy Edman and Chris Taylor, Kike Hernandez, they're all kind of floating in around there at second base. I think, again, you can probably, that's the beautiful thing about Edman is that he's also playing a lot of second right now. If they were to get Luis Robert, then you could lock Edman there at second and then not have to worry about any of that. And then you can actually move Miguel Rojas into the bullpen because he's phenomenal. Did you see that game?
I did not.
Oh my God. All right. So here you go. So it was the Dodgers lost 16-0 to the Cubs. It was 12-0. They put Miguel Rojas on the mound. For those of you who might be new to baseball, Miguel Rojas is a 36-year-old light hitting shortstop from Venezuela. All right. Career batting average is 259. All right. So you're not he's there for his glove. They put him on the mound. And what does he do? For each batter he faces, he changes his windup and he starts imitating all the Dodgers. So he leads off with Yamamoto, and he's matched the delivery perfectly. It's hysterical because if you watch this, you can go to the typey into the YouTubes and go check that out because the announcers are hysterical because all of a sudden he kicks his leg out and they're like, oh, he's doing Landon Knack. He's doing Landon Knack. So he did Yamamoto, Landon Knack. He did Clayton Kershaw. And then he did Roki Sasaki. And, he's doing the whole windup, but obviously, once it's the release point, it's like a 36 mile an hour meatball that's going in there.
Oh, I thought you said we did the Saki. He walked him.
No, he gave up the huge home run. It was bloop and just got knocked the crap out, which is kind of par for the course for Roki Sasaki at this point right now.
Yeah, just a couple of things on Rojas, the pitcher. Velocity's dwindled each of the last couple years. Don't like that. 0% strikeout rate for his career and only a 37.9% ground ball rate. He won't be on my teams.
I just love seeing stuff like that happen. That kind of cracks me up. So we're going to monitor these players here: Luis Robert, Nolan Arenado, Alcantara, Soriano, Herman Marquez, and Colby will be monitoring the departure of David Bednar. I personally don't care where he lands because he's definitely not going to be a spot on my team. So
Yep.
we'll keep monitoring that and for wherever guys end up. In the meantime, everybody's going to sit there and they're going to try to make trades. They're going to try to make tweaks to their lineup. So I want to talk some good buy low candidates versus some good sell high candidates out there. Now, in our Google Doc, I just kind of put, who the hottest hitters were over the past week. And because, I mean, listen, that's where we're at, right? Wilmer Flores is one of them. And we've already told you guys what to do with Wilmer Flores. So I look at guys like, how about Ty France, baseball's AL Player of the Week, or Michael Busch, who's suddenly woken up there in Chicago, or better yet, how about this? John Impemba keeps bragging to me that he drafted Young-Hoo Lee in the 22nd round. And I'm like, well, that's great. But is Young-Hoo Lee going to do it? Is Kyron Paris the next coming of Barry Bonds? So here we go. So I threw out some names there. Pick and choose, Colby. Anybody out there who you're like, I'm definitely selling this guy or I'm definitely holding this guy. Because if you're holding them, then that could be somebody that could be a trade target for down the road. But if you're like ready to unload any of these guys, who are you getting rid of?
Yeah, looking at it, Ty France is just kind of uninspiring. Like, I know the numbers have been fine. They basically said he's going to play, but outside of his 288 average, he only has 2 home runs. He's not going to run. He's kind of a one-trick pony right now, average in OBP, and the walk rate's actually down to would be his lowest mark since 2019 when he only played in 69 games. So Ty France is probably the one on this list that I'm least attached to. Michael Busch, good power numbers. He's just not going to play against lefties. So he's a strong side platoon bat. So the good thing is I looked very quick probables. I think they have 7 righties in a row coming up against the Cubs. So he should be basically locked and loaded. I love Lee and San Fran coming when he came overseas was basically like, hey, you might only get batting average, but he's going to be darn good at that. And he's kind of become a pretty well-rounded player at the MLB level over here. So I like him. And then my affinity and love for Pete Crow Armstrong knows no bounds. I've talked about it since the first podcast here. So he's obviously the one that I'm probably most excited about, kind of what he's done after a slower start to the year. He's really come on strong of late. So of these names, Lee and Pete Crow Armstrong are my favorite. And I think Ty France is just my least favorite on the list. He's just uninspiring. That's just what he is.
Kyron Paris? I mean, he's only 23. Right?
I do like Kyron Paris. I don't think I don't know if I like saying this. I don't think the Angels are dumb enough to take him out of the lineup whenever Yoan Moncada comes back. At the same point,
you think they bench him for Moncada?
Listen, it's the Angels. I don't know. I wouldn't think so. I'm just saying. He's getting playing time. He's been very, very good. He's doing a little bit of everything across the board for fantasy managers. Already at 5 home runs and 5 stolen bases. He's had some lucrative stolen base numbers in the minors. As he kind of rose up through the ranks, the power dissipated a little bit until AAA last season. But the big thing for him is going to be once he kind of gets out of this hot streak where he's seeing a beach ball, if the strikeout rate gets closer to 30%, there could be a little bit of batting average concern. Right now, it's only at 21%, but that's something I'm kind of keep a note on. But right now, I do really like Kyron Paris, yes. And I don't think the Angels are dumb enough to take him out of the lineup when, people, Yoan Moncada comes back.
That was me going through my drawer over here at my desk being like, do I have a knife in here somewhere that I can just slit my throat? Because I'll tell you what, and if the Angels did that, if they turned around and said, oh, well, we're just, we're happy with Moncada. Moncada, I mean, stop. He looks like he ate the Moncada from 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And I'm not buying. You know what? I tried buying into Moncada last year. I was like, here's the resurgence. Here he's coming back. He's going to steal. He's going back to stealing bases. And he was atrocious. So, all right. Listen, I'm fine with the jury still out on Kyron Paris, and I'll look at that. Yes to Young Hoo Lee. Obvious yes to Pete Crow Armstrong. Michael Bush, yeah. Ty France, no. Wilmer Flores, no. Okay. What about some of the more frigid hitters right now? Let's talk about some of the are these guys good buy lows for you? And I threw out a couple of names here. I'll tell you what, you tell me who's a good who do you think is a good buy low guy right now? Who do you got your eye on?
Well, and to practice what we preach in terms of not bailing on people too quick, I did say Alec Bohm was a good buy low person last week, and he's appeared on the list this week. So it'd be kind of not right of me to basically not endorse him after a week where things have been a little bit down. So I still like Alec Bohm. Let the weather get a little bit warmer up in the Northeast and the Philadelphia parts. He'll be just fine. Jackson Holiday, young talent. I want to believe in him, but luckily I don't have many shares of him this year, so I don't necessarily have to worry about it. Okay. You threw out Riley Green. I'm 100% buying low on him. If I can get Riley Green on any team of mine, I am very happy. The one that I am very, very concerned about right now is of the Colorado Rockies. Their whole lineup stinks right now, so that could just be a part of it. But everything that could go wrong has gone wrong for Michael Toglia, John Impemba's favorite. I know Impemba's a big
is he a big
guy.
Toglia fan? What a mook. Come on,
he is.
John.
Here's the problem. Yes, the strikeout rate is up at 46.5 or 46%. The walks have completely dissipated. When he does make contact, it's been not as good as last year. And here's the problem. More swings out of the zone, less contact in the zone, less contact overall, and a relatively high swinging strike rate at 19.1%. Never mind, not even relatively high, sky high. I'm getting a little bit worried about Michael Toglia. I'm still trying to hold on to him where I can, but in leagues where I've been using him as my util spot, he's moved to the bench in many of my teams. I would be very cautiously buying low, but I'm not even buying for pennies on the dollar. It's like quarter pennies on the dollar if someone's willing to sell him.
Who would you rather buy low on? Michael Toglia or Rhys Hoskins?
All right, we'll see you next week.
Oh, shit. I almost fell. Damn this stupid chair of mine. What the hell's going on here? Wow. Come on. You know what? Because it's so funny. You're like, I got Toglia in my utility spot, and I'm like trying to get rid of him. I actually just took Rhys Hoskins out of my utility spot. And I don't even remember who the hell did I throw in there. This was for FSGA because Hoskins is just, what the hell's going on with this dude? This dude couldn't not hit during the spring. Now I don't even know what he's doing. Yeah. Over there. Oh, yeah. Oh, I put Carlos Santana in.
Oh, good young ascending talent.
Yeah. And he's still better, right? 250 with 2 home runs as opposed to Rhys Hoskins, who right now is hitting 182 with 0 power whatsoever. Dude's got 4 RBI through 44 at-bats. 4.
Well, I mean, Toglia has 1 RBI through 60.
Oh, Jesus.
I mean, it's pretty bad. I think I would go with Toglia just because at this point we kind of know what Rhys Hoskins is, and at least Toglia has a year with 25 and 10 under his belt, which was last year with a low batting average. So I might be willing to kind of buy into that. And with Colorado not going anywhere, they basically have no choice but to give him at bats. Whereas Milwaukee can be a little bit more selective with the lineup as they go along. So I'd probably pick Toglia and his 3 WRC plus.
Toglia's average by the end of the season, higher or lower than 220?
Way lower. I don't even know if he gets. I don't even know if he gets to last year's 218.
Is he worth anything then? I mean, how many home runs do you think this guy actually hits if that's what he's batting again?
He'll get 20.
What was that? You froze on me for a second. He hits 20 still.
Yep.
Look at that. I love the here we go. So according to ATC projections, rest of the season, 22 home runs with a 227 batting average. And that is the most bullish projection on him right now. The bat has him at 18 home runs with a 217 average. Yeah, I don't know if I want that. What are these? I want to see what they're projecting for Hoskins now. Now I just want to see. Not that I'm saying trade for Rhys Hoskins because he's garbage. They've got him at like 20 to 25 home runs still to go with a 225 batting average, 220. The bat has him at 216 with 24. So, I mean, I think it's the same guy. I think it's the same guy. Rhys Hoskins, Michael Toglia.
I see it.
All right. I think we've given everybody enough of a run here. Some buy lows, some sell highs. We are recording a little bit earlier than what we normally do. Colby and I usually record this on a Wednesday night, and it's out on Thursday in time for the weekend. So I'll just tell you guys that I'm going to continue the buy low, sell high bit with Fantasy Baseball Stock Watch. That's coming out a little later on here during the week. I'll probably release that either Thursday or Friday for everybody there. So just a couple more trade candidates. I'll try and pick some guys who are not in this podcast to just kind of give everybody a little bit more of a variety. What else you got coming up here, Colby?
Oh, check out the probable pitchers grid. I have that a couple of times this week. And then I got the injury report and the injury report update. That'll be the updates on Friday. And then some probable pitcher stuff throughout the week. So check it out, as well as all the DFS shows that James Grande and known Michael Toglia loving John and
Dude, those guys are killing it right now. Last week on Friday, some dude messaged them. There's like, I hit the late slate, 20 grand. Where's my 20 grand? Damn it. All right. Well, that is going to wrap it up here for us on another episode of Caught Stealing. As always, give Colby a follow on Twitter at Colby R. Conway. I'm at Roto Buzz Guy. I don't know if you're on any other social media platforms, Colby, or if that's just the primary one where you stick. You can find me on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, everything, Blue Sky. It's all, at Roto Buzz Guy, except for TikTok. It's at the real Roto Buzz Guy. I think I might have some new videos coming out sooner than later over there. But if you guys have thoughts, suggestions, you want us to cover specific topics, things like that, by all means, you can either hit us up in the Fantasy Alarm Discord or hit us up on social media, and we'll be more than happy to help you guys out through it. But in the meantime, I think that's going to call it a day here for the Caught Stealing podcast. For Colby Conway, I'm Howard Bednar. This has been a Fantasy Alarm production, and we'll catch you next time.